So apparently, Cody Ford was butthurt. Like, literally, definition, I was kind of butthurt. Orlando Brown didn't answer Cody Ford's text message about signing with the Cincinnati Bengals in March, but he was there for him against Seattle. Now, I'll be honest, because when I first read this, I actually started laughing, because it kind of reminded me of the whole situation with Jonah, where Jonah, got signed. Well, we signed Orlando Brown Jr., but no one told him about it. And then he texted, well, no, he called the Bengals, say, hey, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? Am I going to be playing right tackle? And they just ghosted him. Like, they ghosted him and his agent. They apparently called multiple times. Jonah claims that he was fine moving at right tackle, but he just didn't know what was going on, and he wanted some clarity of what was happening, and he didn't like the fact he found out on social media. So he ended up, after multiple attempts of trying to get an answer from, the Bengals, they didn't answer him, and apparently they didn't answer him for like a couple weeks. So he went ahead and his agent, not him, but his agent said, okay, I'll send him a text and say I want to be traded. And then they answered. So that situation is crazy. Again, we've only heard Jonah's side. We haven't heard the Bengals side. But at the end of the day, listen, I know it's common courtesy and it's a nice thing to do. No one is, 1000%, how do I put this? You don't 1000% need to send a text to somebody, okay? Like, it's not like, oh, well, you're required to do it. That's what I'm trying to say. He's not required. The Bengals are not required to tell Jonah Williams what they're doing. Cody Ford is not, Orlando Brown Jr. is not required to send a text to Cody Ford after he signs and say, congratulations, man. So happy to have you on the team. Like, at the end of the day, you got to remember that people have lives too. And sometimes, Orlando Brown might have been getting ready to play with his new team and not really focused on who's texting him, right? At the end of the day, these are competitors, but these are also very high-end, athletes. And 90% of their life is training, preparing, and getting ready. And when you have a whole new system you have to learn, you're probably not worried about who's texting you or who's the new player on the team. Especially if, and I'm just going to be honest here, if you're Cody Ford. You're not a top-end player. You're a backup. There's a great chance he wasn't even going to make the active roster. He made the active roster, but that's because a lot of players around him was not good at all. Jackson Carman was an absolute bust, and a couple other guys. So that's really the only reason. If Jackson Kirkland played amazing in preseason, he'd be on this active roster right now and not Cody Ford. So I don't really think it's like Orlando Brown Jr. dissing him in any way, like, oh, I'm not going to respond to you. Yeah, I'm ghosting you. But it's kind of like, hey, I don't have time for this. I'm not going to respond. It would have been nice for him to respond to Cody Ford, yes, but it's really not that big of a deal. Kind of more of a big deal that he was butthurt about it. If anything, it's kind of like, okay, it is, let it go. Now, according to this, and, this is actually a really good thing by Orlando Brown Jr. here, I'm not sure if there's any correlation between the text message, him ghosting him, and now, but 4 months later, Orlando Brown got hurt versus Seattle. He was battling a groin injury during the October 8 win against the Seattle Seahawks. When things got to a point in the third quarter where he knew he couldn't finish, but instead of going into treatment, Brown stayed on the sideline and was there for Ford as he navigated his first game playing left tackle since high school. It was just 4 months earlier when Brown left Ford hanging. And again, like I said, right? Because at the end of the day, who cares? No one's required to text anybody back. No one's required to tell a player, we just signed a guy, right? But when it comes down to it in-game, you got to be there for your team. You got to be there for one another, right? And if anything, again, Orlando Brown being a veteran in this game, his job is to be a leader. His job is to train and help this team win as much as humanly possible. And that comes down to every single offensive lineman. He can give his wisdom, pass his wisdom onto them. I'm not saying he has to be like, a babysitter, or he has to be like, oh yeah, this is exactly how you do this and this. But to help our guys as much as possible is what his job is. And that's what, a winner does. That's what a leader does. So I love this because this just shows, yes, he didn't text him back, but when it came down to what's most important, he said, I'm not going in for training or treatment. I'm not going to look at my groin. I'm going to worry about this game, and I'll make sure that, Cody Ford does the best he can possibly do. Now, he did absolutely atrocious. I mean, I wish I could tell you this with a storybook ending, and Hollywood, made the most perfect ending possible. But the fact is, he looked atrocious in those 8, I think it was 10 snaps total that he had. Am I surprised? No, because he looked atrocious in preseason. So finally he gets a chance at left tackle, where in right tackle he looked atrocious. So I don't know why they would think left tackle would be any different. And why did we not go with Jackson Carman? Well, why did we cut L. Collins? You know what? The world may never know. You might want to go ahead and get that commercial going. And, the Tootsie Pop commercial, 1,000 licks. The world may never know why we did either of those situations. But we did. And, we slept in the bed we made, and we went with Cody Ford. And at the end of the day, yeah, he looked atrocious. And if he was our left tackle moving forward, we would be in a very bad spot. Right now, we don't know if he's going to be a left tackle moving forward. That's the scariest thing to say because, Orlando Brown got hurt in that game with the groin injury. Well, it was supposed to, he said after the bye week, he'd be back. He'd be fine. Now he missed practice yesterday. He claims he's going to be ready for, to go this upcoming Sunday. We'll have to wait and see. Keep in mind, with that practice that he missed yesterday, that wasn't like a real practice. It was just a light workout. So it's not like that was even like a full-on rep type of scenario. It was just a practice. A small, light practice. So that's disappointing that he missed that because that's a very important, type of like, okay, start the week off, let's go. It's after our bye week, and he's not out there. Now, I'm going to hope that he plays on Sunday because we play a very, very tough team in the San Francisco 49ers. They have no Deebo Samuel. They might not have Trent Williams, but they're probably going to have Christian McCaffrey back. And the other big problem is here is that they just lost to the Browns and they lost to the Vikings. Last night they got spanked by the Vikings. I know it was a close game, but if you watch that game, I mean, it was play after play the Vikings were making. They had a 60-yard touchdown to Jordan Addison that looked like it was going to be intercepted. They were getting after Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. And Christian McCaffrey probably plays this game versus us. At first, I thought he was not going to. There was rumors he wasn't going to. It looks like he is going to be playing this game against us. They will have Christian McCaffrey. But keep in mind, they're hungry and they're angry. And they're 5-2. They were 5-0. Now they're 5-2. So they're going to, go into this game pissed off and upset and want to do everything they can to get the win. And if that's the case, they're going to play angry. You don't want to play a team that's angry, right? Because then they're going to give you their best shot no matter what. If they won like 5 in a row, then they might play a little bit looser, right? But because they're playing angry, this is going to be a tough game. And we need every single player out there, including Orlando Brown. And we need him at 100%. And we're not going to get him 100% in this game. If he does play, he'll probably be sitting at around 70%. But we're going to, as I said many times, this game we could potentially lose. And it's not the end of the world if we lose this game. But I will say it's a statement game, right? We already went over this, but I'll cover this again to end this video off. Is the this game, Ravens game, Bills game, Chiefs game, and Browns game. Those are 5 statement games. If we can win those 5 statement games, that shows this is a Super Bowl team. That shows this team can go through the gauntlet and end it with a Lombardi in February. And the reason why I say that is because who will we probably play the Super Bowl? 49ers, right? If we can beat them in the regular season, we can beat them in the Super Bowl. All right, who are we going to go through to get to the Niners? Bills, Chiefs, right? Those are 2 important games. Obviously, the Browns puts us in the division, puts us in the playoffs or not, right? Other than that, the Ravens game, again, another tough game. We might play them. We might play the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs back to back to back in the playoffs. Go to the 49ers Super Bowl, right? So, again, every single one of these statement games, well, yes, you might say at the end of the day, well, we lose them, we're not out of the playoffs. But it's that statement of, listen, we need to do this. We need to get back to our old self. And if we can't win those games or we get blown out in any of those games, it's going to be like, this is not looking good. And this season, so far is shaky, but I think we can be fine. We just have to get everything going, and it starts with getting players back from injury. Chuck Sizzle, we don't know when he's coming back. Obviously now we have Orlando Brown hurt. There's problems, but we're going to have to find solutions, right? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.